I met a songwriter in New York who was scared to sing in Spanish, and I knew exactly how to help her. So I told her right away. I gave her the examples, the proof, the pep talk, everything. She nodded, she said thank you, and then she never spoke to me again. I didn't lose that friendship because I was wrong. I lost it because I was right in the worst possible way. Today, we're going to talk about the three things that make someone good to work with and the one I'm still learning at 52.
Say me. Whatever I
There's a
wanna
book
be.
by Patrick Lencioni called The Ideal Team Player. And he says the people who are a joy to build something with, a band, a company, a marriage, a song, tend to share three qualities: humble, hungry, and smart. But not smart like IQ, smart like reading the room, people smarts. I've spent my whole life around teams, a band on stage 3 nights a week for 8 years, a company I run with my husband, a songwriting partnership across an ocean. And what I want to share today isn't a lecture on those three words. It's my own report card where I've grown, where I failed recently, and the one moment that showed me what these three things look like when they all click at once. Let me start with the one I've worked on the longest: humility, since I was a teenager. Humility gets confused with shrinking. We think being humble means say, "Oh, I'm not that good" when someone praises us. We think taking up space is arrogant. And depending on the culture we grew up in, the confusion runs deep. Years ago, I was part of a Billy Graham production, The Greatest Gift of All, a wonderful production, by the way. One of the producers came up to me and asked, "Angela, can you sing?" And I shrugged. I lowered my shoulders, and with a little embarrassment, I said, "Yes." And he got so upset, not at my singing, but at my shrug. He said, "Angela, you never have to be ashamed of saying you can do something. Humility is not making yourself small. Humility is accepting with gratitude the gift you've been given." Later that week, he gathered all of us and reminded us of that famous idea that playing small doesn't serve the world, that there's nothing enlightening about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around us. And that stayed with me for decades because real humility isn't humiliation. A humble person isn't someone who lowers themselves in front of others. A humble person is someone who can admit when they were wrong and also recognize when they were right and say it with assertiveness and compassion. Both. That balance took me years to find. Now, let me tell you about the one I failed at recently: people smarts, reading the room. I grew up without much of a filter. I say things as they are. And for most of my life, that bluntness has cost me. I have walked out of rooms knowing I came across badly, too direct, or too much. So here's the story. I met a songwriter at a camp in New York. She told me she wanted to sing a song in Spanish, but she was scared. She was born in the US, but her roots are Latin. And she felt that if she didn't pronounce the words perfectly, she'd be offending Spanish speaking audiences. And I jumped immediately. I went straight to teaching mode. I told her about Nat King Cole, about Natalie Cole, singers who recorded boleros in Spanish with a thick American accent, and they didn't care and became legends anyway. I had all the right points. I was factually correct, but I didn't read her. She didn't need a list of reasons. She needed a question. She nodded, then thanked me, but underneath it, a little hurt she never said out loud. We'd agreed to meet so I could help her with pronunciation. That meeting never happened. She never reached out again. And the part that stings, I already know how to do this. With my sales team at work, I spent years learning to coach instead of direct, to ask questions that let people find their own answers so they own the solution. That is reading the room. I just never connected that the skill I used every day at my company was the exact skill I needed in that moment with my friend. With my team, I am a coach. With her, someone I'm becoming friends with, I defaulted to being her boss, and it cost me. That's the hard part. Being right isn't the same as being helpful. We will get to what I'm doing differently now, right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Global Formulas and their BioPower ATP. In my workouts, and like a lot of women, I always stayed away from creatine because I didn't want that puffy, bloated look. BioPower ATP is different. It's chelated creatine bonded to magnesium, making it water molecule free, which means zero water retention and zero bloating. You keep the lean, defined muscle you build in the gym without looking bigger than you really want to. It absorbs almost completely instead of going to waste, and you can start it or stop it without that deflating worry. Check it out at the link below and use my code SHOWUP10. I jumped straight to lecturing my friend, and I lost her. Now I'm working on these three virtues I learned from Lencioni's book, and I'll share the honest place I am at with each one. Lencioni says that the virtues of being humble, hungry, and smart are not inherent traits. They can be adopted and cultivated by anyone with a desire to embrace them. Now, here is where I am with each one: humble, sharing the credit and owning the miss. Humility in practice is small and daily, pointing to what my colleague did well before I mentioned myself, admitting fast when I'm wrong instead of defending, and remembering that accepting my own gift is not arrogance. It's the other half of humility. Hungry, the right kind of hunger. This is where I have to be honest about a hard lesson I learned. There's healthy hunger, wanting the shared thing to win, and there's a selfish hunger that hides behind charm. I once worked with someone like that: hungry, charming, influential, and underneath it, no humility at all. The charm hid it so well that we believed he was working for the common good when he was only working for himself. And I didn't see it in time because I hadn't learned to look. And when he finally left, the damage he'd done became clearer. As a leader, that's my responsibility: to protect the whole team, which means spotting this before it costs everyone. Smart, asking instead of telling. This is my repair from the New York story. Instead of jumping in with my answer, I ask a question first now. Next time, I would ask, how do you feel when you hear other singers with an accent? A question tells me if the person is even open to hearing me, and it lets them find their own way there, the way I learned to do with my team. I am not there yet, but now I can catch myself. Here's what all of this comes down to for me: being humble, hungry, and smart isn't about being a perfect teammate. It's about being someone people can build something real with. And the magic is in theory. I've lived it with my band, Essencia, writing with Martin, and with my two co writers in Europe. With them, all of these three virtues are present. We respect each other, we want the same thing, And we can tell each other the truth, kindly and friendly. The synergy just flows. And I'll close with the thing I learned the hard way. When a collaboration isn't working, it's often because both people are so busy trying to fit each other that they forget to just be themselves and serve the project. Fitting in and building together are two very different things. So here's our challenge this week. The next time someone we care about shares a struggle with us, and we feel that urge to jump in and fix it, to give them the answer, let's pause. And instead of telling, let's ask one question first. For example, what do you think is really going on? Or would it help to hear how I see it? One question before one piece of advice. That's it. That's the whole challenge, and it's the one I am practicing too. I would love to hear how it goes. Find me on Instagram at Angela Bendeck and tell me about a time you asked instead of told. I read all these messages. They mean a lot to me. If this episode was valuable, the single best way to support the show is to share it with one friend who tends to fix before they listen. We all know one, and sometimes we are one. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so we meet again soon. Thank you for being here with me. Keep saying, I am possible.
Say me. I'm possible. Whatever